finally got to meet Colby Dauch, the famous guy in the plaid hat, though not wearing plaid hat today. Sorry for that. Hi, how are you doing today?
I'm very good. How are you?
I'm great. Well, we haven't seen you in Essen last year. It's your first time in Essen?
I was at Essen 2 years ago and 2 years before that. 2 years ago was our first time. We shared a booth, but we were recently acquired by F2Z Entertainment, and so we should be a mainstay at Essen going forward.
Okay, well, that was kind of my question in the very end, but though you already mentioned that you joined the F2Z. How did it change for you? How did it happened like lately, like a couple of months ago this summer? Do you see already the changes in the company?
Definitely. We're still in a transitional period, so we're still working out all the changes, but they're taking over on a lot of the business elements of distributing games, printing games, and generally doing all the accounting, all the stuff that I learned to do and did just as a matter of making things work, but wasn't really my passion, wasn't really why I got into it. So, and we are as a studio focusing on the development of games, the design of games, and then they're focusing on how to get those out to people.
Okay, which is good. Well, actually, you can now do like the fun stuff, right?
Yeah, that's the idea, that I'll be able that the whole team will be able to take a focus and be of a singular mind on the content and not just on the business development side of things.
So now it actually means that you will have more opportunity to go to such conventions like Essen, like that you need to cross the ocean.
Yeah, because they're very much an international company, and we sold games internationally, but they have offices in Germany and offices in France, so they're much more equipped to handle these kinds of shows internationally that we were quite intimidated by. So.
Is it like Essen, or let's say, I don't know if you have been in other European conventions, are they different from the US ones?
They're definitely different, and in the U.S. there's more people in costume. In the U.S. we of course have more of a base because we've been going to those conventions for years, and we've built up our fan base there, whereas here we haven't. Of course, we're Americans, so we tend to make games with American sensibilities, I think, sometimes just as a natural extension of who we are. And so Essen is different. The fan base over here is different, but also the fan base over here is they are more informed, I think. More informed about the game. They take games. It is more of an adult activity here. It's not as much of a subculture. In America, it's very much a subculture, and here it seems much more family-oriented or just accepted as part of culture, and that's cool. You get treated in a different kind of way. There's a sense of almost respect that we're not used to and are bashful about, but is fun. So it's always nice to be affirmed for what you do, you know.
Hopefully we'll sometime go to like Gen Con or some other convention in US, would be great. Well, as we actually like started from the end, let's start from the beginning. Yeah, let's just go back a bit. Can you tell a bit the story how you got into the gaming?
Yeah, I actually. So when I read Lord of the Rings as a high school student, or junior high, I believe, and we were in this really small town. Gaming wasn't a known thing. There was no gaming group. Nobody was playing Magic the Gathering or Dungeons and Dragons. I didn't even know those things existed. But the Lord of the Rings movies came out, and it brought back all those memories of reading the books, and I was so into it and going to the movies, and afterwards I just wanted to experience more, so I went to my local bookstore. I wanted to refine the books, find out if there was anything written about Tolkien that I could read, and I came across a role-playing game by, the name of the company was Decipher, and it was a Lord of the Rings role-playing game, and I thought, like, oh wow, and I'm flipping through it, and I'm like, here's like rules for a game that seems to use your imagination, but there's a rule set, like this seems too cool to be true, and so me and my friends got around it, and for a couple of years we played that every week, and eventually, as role-playing groups do, responsibilities, well, I can't be there on this night and that night, and it kind of dissolved, but I was watching a show and a commercial came on for HeroScape, which is a game that Hasbro did, and it was like, oh, cool. So here's like a game that would scratch some of those same itches of thinking and fantasy and so I got really into that, got into the online community, started developing cards and stuff for it, and went to Gen Con to get the Gen Con exclusive, and generally just discovered, oh, there's a whole world of this stuff, and so it was really my entryway. I ended up playtesting for them, ended up doing design work for for Hasbro, and that was my start into working on board games.
Cool. I know that your first game, well, at least first published game, is Summoner Wars, and you created the company to publish it. You know, for young designers, it's actually, they don't suggest to create the company to publish their own game. How did you decide to take the risk?
I also don't suggest, as a young publisher, you do that. It was, well, I mean, the market was a little different back then. It wasn't as crowded. So that's an interesting, when people come and say, well, how did you do that? How did you do this? I was like, frankly, I wouldn't know how to do that right now. Back then, it worked. I had taken the game, and I had those contacts at Hasbro, and I showed Hasbro, and well, this isn't really for us. And I tried to show Fantasy Flight, and I wasn't really getting anywhere. No response, and I understand why now, because I run a publishing company. But at that show, so many of my friends were so in love with the game that I just thought, I want to do this long term. I'm interested in the business aspects as well. Let's give it a go. Ignorance is what caused it to happen, and I think just determination is what, and really good friends and really talented friends is what turned it into a success.
That's great, yeah, because I like actually that what I saw that Blade had seemed like a family, like everybody's pretty close friends.
Yeah, there's a lot of like organic development of those relationships that it just feels really lucky to have had friends that were that talented, and I feel like most of my success is not about Summoner Wars. That was the start, but I feel like most of my success was Summoner Wars giving me the means to empower my very creative friends and to encourage them to success. And that has been, I feel like, what Plaid Hat as a company has developed into, this group of people all working towards this common goal and together bring all of their skills to make these games that I think that I'm really proud of.
Great. So that was my question, when you created the company, what did you, at that moment, what did you think would be the next step? Did you had in plan your other games, designs to publish, or you already had in mind some other designers, your friends, whose games to publish?
I had already had the other designers in mind, though they didn't know. It was like Dungeon Run was our second game, and we only did one print run of that because Summoner Wars was selling better, and if I had done it today, we would have done more print runs and whatever. But at the time, and then Mice and Mystics was the next game after that, and both of those were friends that I had met through gaming and through HeroScape, and that we had worked on different aspects, and both of them still work with me today. Jerry, of course, is Jerry Hawthorne, still designing games with me. Mice and Mystics, Tail Feathers, its expansions, and Bistro, who did Dungeon Run, still does all of our writing, and he did a lot of the writing for Dead of Winter cards and for Mice and Mystics story and stuff like that.
So you designed Summoner Wars, and after that there was one more game, but nothing else from you. Don't you have time for design, or are you you've discovered magic of business, or why?
Yeah, I mean that's what it comes down to. I got into it because I wanted to work in games, and I thought that I wanted to do design, and I still do, but I just believe so much in my friends that when it comes time to here's a new thing that we didn't know about that has to be done, oftentimes I would take it on myself to figure it out and learn it and do that thing, and try to keep it off of Isaac's plate, for example, so that he could concentrate on what he was working on, and eventually those things consume you, and the time for designing games goes away. They have their own kind of creative elements, to business has a creative side, but but yeah, it was kind of a necessity. And now that we've been acquired by F2Z, ideally, as I mentioned before, I'll be able to work on game elements again and developing. And I do work on a lot of the games in some way, in some extent. But my name's not necessarily on the games because they're not about me. I wasn't the driving force. I was just aiding them in rules writing or Crossroads card writing or whatnot. So I still got to do some of it, just not in a recognizable, I guess, public way.
But though, if you will have time more, then we might see your name on the box soon, right?
It's definitely a possibility, yeah. I'm definitely intrigued by that new possibility and have some thoughts running around my mind that I hope I can unleash on the public.
I would actually, that's a question I asked several publishers/designers. What do you like more? Which one do you enjoy more, publishing or designing?
I think I like publishing more. Yeah.
That's what I thought. That was the first time I actually thought that, okay, Colby, I think he actually enjoys more publishing.
Yeah, it's just cool to see something go out there in the public and to watch it. And there's like a exciting factor and a nervous factor, and it's fun. It's fun to see it all come together. It's fun to see the art come in. It's fun to see other people shine and grow and to be a part of their success story. Is I always dungeon mastered in those games of Lord of the Rings roleplay, and that was all about creating fun for others and supporting their fun, and it's something that I get personal satisfaction from.
That's incredible. I think that way all these kind of cool games born. I noticed that you kind of tend to hide the ideas and designs and projects until the very end, so all of the cool games come out from the blue. Like, why do you do that, or what is like the reason behind it?
That's still something we're working out. It's not exactly a formula at this point. It's done intentionally, but I'm not sure that we're like doing it exactly right. But the idea is, if you talk about a game too early, I feel like there's a chance that it grows in buzz and everybody's excited about it, and then while they wait for it to be published, there's less talk about it and less talk about it. If you talk about it too late, then there's not enough build up to its release, and so it's all about finding that right spot that's in between losing all the momentum that you're forming by talking about the game and losing the attention and not having enough talk about the game prior to launch for people to take notice of it. So.
Though as a gamer, I would say that's actually pretty cool, because if you recognize it, there will be a cool game. I don't have to wait like eternity to get it, so that's good. And it looks like the buzz over the Dead of Winter didn't actually go over, so that's good. And there's one more interesting and unique that you don't use Kickstarter for like creating the games and publishing. Like, why is that?
Well, when we started, we didn't. It's kind of a little bit philosophical, I guess. When we started, there wasn't Kickstarter, at least not to my knowledge, and nobody in board games was using it if there was. And the way Kickstarter was presented to me was like, hey, we want to do this project, but it's impossible to do it without your support, right? And that was kind of the social contract around Kickstarter. At least at first, that's what it felt like. And I said, well, that's not us. We had the success in Summoner Wars. I want to reinvest that. And so it started off as kind of like not feeling like it was right for us to present ourselves in that way, because it may be a little dishonest. And now, like, that landscape has changed. People don't really expect it as that. A lot of companies use it. But also philosophically thinking about it, there's a desire to say, well, no, we're fiscally backing this project because we believe in it, and that's why you should believe in it. We're putting our money at stake for a reason, because we really believe in this. And so, and also, like, I wouldn't want somebody else's money at stake on a project. It would be so anxiety inducing for me to, like, I've got your $50 now, and now I've had this production thing, and now you're upset with me And you should be, because I told you I would deliver it in this amount of time, and now I'm being false about that. Like, too much anxiety. I wouldn't.
Yeah, I've heard that the Kickstarter is lots of stress for those who run the Kickstarter projects. And actually, the Kickstarter, there's lots of things that I feel that makes Playhead Games really special and unique. And I think that's one of the things that makes us really look forward and like really intrigued, always like, getting our ear open, like what is going next from Playhead Games. So what is coming out in, like, what can we expect from Playhead Games 2016, let's say?
2016, we are launching Seafall, a legacy game. That's done by Rob Davio, who did Risk Legacy, he did Pandemic Legacy, and this is the first time that he's taking that legacy idea, which is to say that the board state changes from game to game, and you're putting out stickers, and stuff's being destroyed, and stuff's being altered, packs are being opened, and he's designed a game around that legacy element rather than inserting that legacy element into another game. And the result is that he's leveraging it in the best way possible, and it tells this epic story of twists and turns and secrets and betrayals, and it also it has this great sense of discovery, because as you're unlocking stuff and discovering stuff and stuff's coming out, it really feels like its theme, which is this adventure discovery type of game. Where you're seafaring and you're sailing out to sea and you're finding these islands, and then you're exploring the islands and finding stuff out about the people, and it's really something special. It's going to get a lot of people talking about it.
Well, people are already talking about that a lot. I think that's the one of the games that we know in advance that's going to be come out. So it should be next year now, 2016.
Yeah, that the plan for that one is Gen Con or Essen of 2016. We're still in discussion on which one's going to be better. There's also we've got a Dead of Winter expansion in the works, and that's going to be a full-size box just like Dead of Winter, and it's going to be standalone, but you can also fully mix them and incorporate them, and it's going to have some new mechanisms to it, but it's going to be more of what you love in Dead of Winter if you love Dead of Winter. And then we're also working on the space-themed Crossroads game. We're not exactly sure where that's going for sure. Everything's not 100%. It's still in development. But my thoughts and ideas on it are that there's this team. They've been launched into space, and their ship's being controlled by this AI. And they're all put into this hypersleep, and the AI is supposed to wake them up in cycles, and they can check on everything. The AI decides that's not a good idea and leaves them in hypersleep. And they're generations, an undisclosed time into the future, and the AI is hopelessly lost, and they're in the middle of nowhere in space. Things are starting to fall apart, and now she decides, okay, well, I better wake somebody up. I need some help. And so she wakes up the skeleton crew in this giant ship that's supposed to be for thousands and thousands of people, and there's this paranoia because we're lost, and also turns out being in hypersleep that long starts to make you go crazy. And so as a player, you're crazy. You can't really trust yourself, and you can't trust all these other crazies, but we have to work together because we're gonna die otherwise. Oh, also the AI, she's crazy too, and she's constantly messing with us and trying to control us and make us do what she wants. And but yeah, she's not right. So it should be fun, and we've got some lofty ideas around it that I'm really interested in and hoping to develop. The AI is almost like an abusive parent. So there's like a reliance on her, but she's also constantly punishing you for not doing what she thinks you should. So and I'm hoping to tell some pretty interesting and deep stories around that dynamic that I think board games haven't done a lot of exploring stories in those kinds of ways, I guess.
Cool. That's incredible. I want it already. I know you want it already. Okay, I know that Playhead game, well, I think it was this summer as well, moved from Ohio to Texas, right?
That's correct. Yeah, we're in Dallas now.
So I can imagine moving office from one state to another, but that means that you actually had to move the staff and the family, so everybody moved to a different state. How is that even possible?
Well, our graphic designer had moved from California to where we were at, and he hated the cold. And Isaac, he was he was totally for moving to a bigger city. He didn't like the cold. And Jerry Hawthorne, the designer of Mice and Mystics, Tail Feathers, he already lived in Dallas, and so there was just like a unified kind of factor. Everybody was just kind of the same mind that they all wanted to be someplace new. And Dallas made a lot of sense for a number of reasons, primarily which is Jerry, and we really liked it. It's a lot more resources in a big city, and we like the warmth.
Oh, that's incredible. Though actually, I believe that actually shows how close you're all together in the company. I would never imagine that was actually bothering me a long time. I was like, how? Like, maybe I'm sending something wrong. Like, how is that possible? That was really bothering me for a long time. That's cool. Wow. Okay, thanks a lot. I really appreciate the time. So that was great. Especially the news about the new game, The Crossroads, like Lost in Space. That's incredible. So thanks a lot. I know you're really busy, so I won't hold you much longer. Thanks a lot.
Thanks so much. It was a pleasure speaking with you.